All right, Shalom. First off, I want to start by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem HaKadosh. That's all praises to the world called God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem meaning in the name, Yahushai being the name of the only begotten Son. I also want to say double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful like preaching His word in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Tazabah, the great millstone, Arizona camp, Lord will, with another video to edify. And shit's about to get tougher, right? Not only in the U.S., but globally. I'm going to get into two articles, and Lord will this be edifying. This is from Yahoo Finance. It says Federal Reserve eyes another historic rate hike on Wednesday. All eyes on the Federal Reserve as the central bank kicks off a 2-day policy meeting Tuesday, as officials are widely expected to raise short-term interest rates by 0.75% of a percentage point at the conclusion of their meeting Wednesday. So almost a full point is what they're gonna move the interest rate up. Right? When you think about 1% on $1 million, that's a lot of money. Now, put 1% on $100 million, that's a lot of money, right? And that's basically what it is. It sounds like nothing to you now, but when you think about, big purchases that really influence the market, like houses, right? Auto loans, right? Business loans and things of that nature. Things that people take out loans more to cushion themselves against increasing prices. All that is about to jump up. So instead of you having your $2,500 mortgage, right? And if you have an adjustable rate mortgage, now it goes up. Now you're going to sit here and be looking at a $2,800 mortgage, right? And not only does it go there, it goes to everything else too. Your food in the stores, everything, right? So this is big. Now it says, in the face of stubborn inflation, officials are expected to raise the central bank's benchmark interest rate, the federal funds rate, to a new range of 3% to 3.25% from the current range of 2.25 to 2.5%. This would mark the third straight 75 base point rate hike since June. So 3 major rate hikes since June. That is staggering, man. That hurts people. It says bringing rate hikes to the highest level since 2008. And the reason why they keep bringing up 2008 is because that is the most recent economic crash that's happened that everybody can remember. 2008, people went from having, off-road vehicles and all this extra stuff in their life, big houses, taking huge family vacations, to sitting there budgeting money for gas, and giving up those big ass trucks that they had, right? Foreclosing on houses, losing major jobs. This is about to hit again, and it's going to be worse, right? The Fed is likely to signal that it will raise interest rates more aggressively and expect rates to be higher for longer than it releases a summary of each official interest rate expectation known as the dot plot, right? So basically they're saying, man, this is gonna, how high we're gonna have to keep interest rate is gonna be outside of the range of which we can actually track it. Meaning it's about to be stiff. It's about to be steep. People are going to be hurting, right? So at the same time as this coming out, this other article came out where it says a wave of layoffs is sweeping the U.S. Here are the major companies that have announced cuts so far, from Gap to Peloton, right? Because what all these companies borrow money to pay debt. All these companies leverage cheap debt to get income, right? And now that debt is no longer cheap. That's the interest rate hikes. Now they have to lay off a bunch of their working staff. And this is going to be across the board throughout America. So come the end of quarter three and mid quarter four, probably right after quarter four, I'm expecting there's going to be a lot of people getting laid off. There's going to be a lot of people getting laid off. And all hell's going to break loose. It's because it says layoffs are sweeping across American businesses in 2022. Peloton has laid off thousands of employees this year. Real estate firm Remax slashed 17% of its workforce. Even traditionally layoff resistant companies like Netflix have made cuts, and now companies that saw a pandemic era boom like Shopify are cutting hundreds of jobs. It says the reason broadly is twofold. Business growth is slowing while labor costs are increasing. Why is labor costs increasing? Because you have to match the salaries to the current market. So labor costs increase, which causes what? The price of the good to go up, which causes people to do what? Spend less, because everything's costing far more. It says the combination is causing American companies across a variety of industries to slash headcount. It says here are some of the most notable examples so far. About 500 jobs. Gap will cut 5% of its corporate workforce, or about 500 employees, the Wall Street Journal reported. Snap, 20% of employees. Snap planned to lay off about 20% of its employees beginning in late August, The Verge reported. Cuts to Snap 6,400 person workforce will be concentrated in divisions like Zenly and social mapping app Snap acquired in 2017. Jumping down, Wayfair, about 870 employees. It says furniture and home goods company Wayfair said it would lay off about 870 employees, 5% of its global workforce. The Wall Street Journal reported the layoffs represent about 10% of Wayfair's corporate team. The company said it will cost between $30 million and $40 million for severance and benefits for laid off employees. Jumping down, it says Robinhood, more than 1,000 people in 2022. Peloton, over 4,150 people. Shopify, about 1,000 workers, roughly 10% of their workforce. 7-Eleven, 880 jobs. Venmo, 6% of its workforce. Tesla, 229 employees. Rivian, around 6% of its workforce, 14,000 persons is what their workforce is. It says GoPuff, 10% of its staff. Remax, 17% of its work staff. Microsoft, less than 1% of employees. JP Morgan, and Microsoft is a huge company, so 1% of loss is going to be major. JP Morgan, over 1,000 workers. Compass, 450 employees. Redfine, about 6% total employees. Coinbase, 18% of its workforce. Caravan, 2,500 people. Or Carvana, Salakia. And they had a lot of that major layoff was in Arizona. So it says Reef, about 750 people. Better, about 4,000 people. Gnome, 495 people. Terracio, up to 20% of staff. Right? It's steep. It's a wave of layoffs is happening, and this is all prophecy, right? This is all prophecy, and it's gonna exacerbate. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. There's gonna be more layoffs People are going to start getting desperate. People are going to get thrown out on the street. And there's going to be riots everywhere. All right, this is Isaiah 19 and Isaiah 19 and 15. It says, I start at 14. It says, Yahweh had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggering his own vomit. And America is staggering its own vomit. Right? They're drunk. Right? They were drunk with the cheap debt. Right? So they kept borrowing, and now what? Look at them now. Now they're standing there vomiting and they can't get up out of it. Right? All these companies never sat there and thought to themselves, maybe we got to stop borrowing this cheap debt. Let's try to pay off this cheap debt. Let's try to make more actual profit so that, we can hedge ourselves against these times. No, they just kept borrowing against cheap debt. And now they have to lay off a major portion of their workforce, which is killing their company. Right? It says, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which head or tail, branch or mesh may do. Right? So the work is being cut off. It says, in that day Egypt shall be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh of hosts, which he shaketh over it. You see? And the Lord is shaking his hand over this place. People are going to be terrified to leave their houses. People are going to be terrified about what's going to come next because this is about to be a very uncertain time. Right? I'm going to jump down to verse 17 because this kind of goes into it. It says, in the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because the counsel of Yahweh hosts, which he had determined against it. Right? Right? So just in the near future, right? This isn't fully what it's going into, but in the near future, when they start firing Jake like this, these thirsty, hungry ass niggas that all they did was work, when they lose these jobs and there ain't no other way to eat, you don't have to worry about Jake going to your house. Right? Brothers in the truth, we ain't gonna have to do that. Right? But these dudes that are in the world, you're gonna have to worry about that nigga Tyrone, right? That nigga Darren coming into your crib because he ain't got it no more. Right? It's gonna get real out here, man. But ultimately, the Lord is causing this place to fail. The second Ezra 6. And 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, which this is going to get prepared to happen, because if there's less people working, prices of goods going up, that means the people that they can actually sell to is going to go down. So they're going to decrease the amount of goods they have in the stores. So what? The full storehouses are going to be suddenly found empty. A lot of these storefronts are going to close, right? It says, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. 1 second. They shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run, meaning all course of business is going to stop. Right? Everything's going to slow down to a halt. The scriptures talk about the grinding. Let's get that. This is Ecclesiastes 12. And I'll start on one. It says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So you're supposed to sit here and make a change in your life for the better to the Lord before stuff hits the fan, right? Because the days are drawing near where you're not going to have any pleasure. It's not going to be pleasurable to walk outside your house. You're not going to have those benefits of being able to go where you want, do what you want, choose that little pastime that you like, right? Going to the movies isn't even going to be on people's radar anymore, because it's going to be out of a lot of people's hands. Right? It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, and the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong man shall buy themselves. And who are the strong men now? Right? Because the scriptures talk about how the money is a defense. The rich man's wealth is his strength. Right? The strong man now is that middle class, that middle and upper class. Right? And they're about to battle themselves because their jobs are going to be taken away. Their profits are going to be too hurt. It says, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out at out of the windows be darkened. It says, and the door shall be shut in the street. The storefront closes, layoffs, right? Shutterings. When the sound of the grinding is low, the grinding is going to be brought low because there's not going to be any type of jobs to get. Right? The Lord is cutting off the labor force, right? You're going to be forced to sit here and think about what you've done. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, right? There's not going to be any joy. People aren't going to sit here and want to party and dance no more. The Lord's going to take that place out, that sound of mirth out of the land. But things are getting intensified. This whole rate hike, right? When they sit here and do it more people are going to get laid off more. Jobs are going to be slashed. Jake is going to be hurt even more because these devils are always going to look at sitting there, taking down you Jakes about it, right? They're always going to look to firing your ass first. So Jake is going to feel it before Esau, but Esau going to feel it too. Right? It's about to get real. So with that being said, you just focus on what the Lord said to do. Make sure that you're doing what the Lord said to do. And that way you be covered in these times. That being said, all praise to Yahweh Shemar Shai. Shalom.